psychological, emotional. Literature tries to capture that. And this means that if literature captures life experiences, it means that it does not exist. Speak it and tell him I'm in a lecture. It means that literature does not exist in a vacuum. And this leads us to the key concept in literary criticism. When you sit down and you want to talk about literature, there is the belief there are three orders of creation. The first order exists somewhere with the perfect creator. Who that perfect creator is open to controversy. In some beliefs, some will say it is God or some godheads, which means that there was a perfect world existing somewhere in the mental conception of the first creator before it was replicated in our own physical world. So, the physical world where we exist is the second order creation. The second order creation taken from the first conceptual existence of the world. Then the creative writer or producers of literature are regarded as the third order creators. A perfect world exists somewhere, replicated in our own physical world. And what the literary artist tries to do is to replicate the physical world in the artwork, which is the third order creation. And we try to take care of this in literary criticism. Well, I will not be able to delve further on that. Another slide. Literature as a reflecting art. There is the first order creation, second order creation, the third order creation. The first order creation is God, and the world existing somewhere. The second order creation is our physical world. The third order creation is the world of literature. Continue. Yeah, literature can be written or oral. When literature is written, it is printed literature. As you know it, then we have oral literature, which in actual fact is the precursor of the written literature, be it poetry, drama, or prose. They have their origin in oral traditions. For example, in prose, look at the ballad tradition. In poetry, you have also old elegies and all that. Then, of course, grammar, which has its roots in rituals and all that. So, the precursor of all literature is actually the oral tradition. And when you are talking about literature, we have three broad branches. We have poetry, we have grammar, and we have prose. And if you pick any written text, literary text, it must fit into any of these three subgenres. Then, when we try to talk about why do you study literature? Do you study literature just for the fun of it? has its various functions. There are therapeutic. It's useful for language pedagogy, transport it to unknown areas and all that. Then we have, when you pick a literary work, you want to enjoy it. Not only enjoy it, you want to understand what the literary text is saying. And ordinarily, you cannot appreciate a literary work fully without applying some critical or evaluative instruments through which the literature is written and through which you can also approach and decode the meanings embedded in them effectively. It is one thing to be able to tell the meaning, and it is another thing to be able to decode the meaning effectively. And these instruments are collectively referred to as the figures of speech. They assist in capturing moods, emotions, and feelings which are not readily available to a cursory reader. For example, the figures of speech break the bounds of ordinary meaning. For example, wallet is a pig. When we say wallet is a pig, what we are saying is that wallet, we are not saying wallet is an animal. We are saying wallet is dirty. So when we say wallet is a pig, the person reading that appreciates the level of dirtiness of wallet than when you just simply say wallet is dirty. So that is the kind of things that figures of speech achieve. Another slide. Another slide. There are types of figures of speech. There are many types of figures of speech. Multifarious. But because of special constraints, we just mention the ones that we consider as key ones here. Another slide. No. Go back. Simile here. When you talk about simile, well, everybody knows what a simile is. An indirect comparison between two unlike things, but sharing same qualities. For example, as they are anchored by two legible items, as and they are signals. They are signal words when similes are being used. For example, Felix is as black as a charcoal. We are not saying that Felix is a charcoal. We are not saying Felix is a charcoal. But it shares the quality of blackness with charcoal. When you say it is different from saying that Felix is dark complexioned. Anybody can be dark complexioned. But the degree of darkness is effectively foregrounded by the comparison of Felix with a charcoal. It's not as if you see Felix, you are seeing a charcoal. Another example here is the girl sings like a canary. The girl is not a bird. It's not a canary. But it shares the quality of talking with that species of birds called the canary. So what we are saying here is that the girl is what? Talkative. So, another slide. Now let's go to metaphor. This is what is defined as a compressed simile or elliptic simile. It's comparison, but in this time it is direct. But let me say that metaphors are very, very tricky. And they are the most effective instruments in the hands of writers. Writers like Leo Shidari use lots and lots and lots of metaphors. If you are at home with metaphoric employment, you are at home with the art of Leo Shidari. Let's look at this example. I am the speck of dust in the evening air, popping butterfly in the estate of flower, kite in a mellow sky. Look at the way Neil Australia has compressed as part metaphors together. He compared himself with various objects through deliberate stockpiling of metaphors upon metaphors. First is like a dust in the evening air. What does the dust in the evening air do? This try and figure what dust in the evening air does. No.
Dust in the evening air dries your face and it also affects your nose.
What does the dust in the evening air do? In the evening air. It's ubiquitous. You can't dodge it. If it is daylight, you see the dust, and you can dodge it. But in the night, you can't see it. You can see how powerfully the Australia is using this metaphor here. Popping butterfly in the estate of flower. What does a popping butterfly do? Yeah. I'm as happy as a butterfly. And I'm like a kite in the mellow sky. In the sober sky. Not stormy sky. Creating a picture of enjoyment. So you see Neil Australia exploring the instrument of metaphor to compare himself, or no, not Neil Australia. The poetic persona uses metaphor effectively to compare himself or herself to all these figures. It's not as if when you see the poetic persona, you see the dot, or you see butterfly, or you see the kite. No. So let's another slide. Well, personification. This is ascribing human qualities to non-human entities. And we should be careful there. There is a tricky line of a tricky central between personification and metaphor. So that if you are not careful, you might take one for another. But the basic thing here is that personification gives the quality of a human being to non-human or non-living thing. Let's look at this. Deep does the rodent burrow in the breast of the hill. That's it from Linguistic. And what he said is that in the heart of the hill, just like the rodent burrows into the heart of the hill. And this resonates an allusion to oral point delivery, especially among the Yoruba people. It's incantatory. It's incantatory, in which is an incantatory poetic form taken from Yoruba oral tradition, using the instrument of personification. So, the press however, should not be taken literally. This is an extended metaphor. So, that is why I said there is a close affinity between personification and metaphor. Then consider another instance of personification in howling wind. How does the wind howl? Like a dog. It is only a dog that howls. So, giving the impression of furious wind through personification. Another slide. Apostrophe. This flows from deep human emotion of anger, horror, sorrow, or even elation. And in it, the inanimate object is addressed as if it is standing there listening. As we have in the example here, death, where there is pain. That is from the Bible, I think. You cannot see death. Nobody has seen death. But the emotion of sorrow is being addressed here, and death is being addressed as a human being, or as if it is standing there. Let's look at another. Mother Earth, give it to a being. Maybe there is a crop failure, there are crop failure, and people are alarmed, and the earth has to be appeased through libations and all that. Mother Earth, give it to people. Mother Earth, there is also an instance of personification here, mixed with apostrophe. Mother Earth is being addressed as a human being, but yes, in a way, the earth is our mother. Our temporal what? Our temporal basement, our lasting roots. So it's being addressed as if it is there and listening. And in traditional beliefs, the earth does listen. Bílẹ̀ pápú bí ojú agbo ilẹ̀ òpósìkà, òkété ògbórílẹ̀ kó dalẹ̀, so and so on. So things like that are very, very much, especially in oral poetic forms. Let's take another. Okay, in oral art, such cadence are titled as invocations to high spiritual authority. For those of us that have some knowledge about that, in traditional performance, or oral poetic performance, it is compulsory that you have the invocation segment, which comes first. You appeal to our mothers, the higher authority, the extra natural forces that control the world. They are not there physically, but they are believed to be around us everywhere. Let's look at this. And chiefly, there are all spirits that does prefer before all temple the upright heart, pure and pure to me. This is an invocation. It is contained in the introductory aspect of that paradise law, that long poem. It's calling on the higher authority to give him the power and ability and the intellect to deliver on it. So let's go to the other slide. Using the word to represent the part or the part.
Yes, I'm just saying what it is in social science. It's a
Sample.
Yes, a part of the whole.
What? So let's look at example here. In Nigeria, Nigeria did the last head count in 2001. Was it the heads of Nigerians that were out there? But the head represented how many high heads we have in this class? Not only the heads, the whole body. So we are making another example is, ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears. It is not the ears. I'm talking about your attention. So ear is used to represent the whole of your attention, the whole of your being. Let's look at another figure of speech, metonymy. One thing is used to represent the other, especially objects that are associated with certain concepts or certain institutions are used to refer to that institution as a result of long association between the two of them. For example, one will say the pen is mightier than the sword. The pen refers to the press, while the sword refers to the military, especially a dictatorial or brutish government. There is no way there will be a contest between the pen and the gun. The gun cannot triumph over the pen, because the pen also represents intellect. The pen represents the truth, where true journalism still exists. So, because this bifurcative reference occurs frequently in class, so you have such instances of bifurcative references where one thing stands for the other as a result of their long time association. Let's look at another slide. Oxymoron. This is a deliberate together of words or expressions that are contradictory. And you need to probe further to discover the truth in such obvious or facial absurdity. E.g., let's make haste slowly. How can you be slow and still be hasty? It sounds nonsensical on the facial value. But there is a cautionary note there that while you are trying to be hasty, be careful. It teaches, it talks about being careful in your undertakings. So it is a cautionary piece. Let's look at lawless lawmakers went to work and gigantic malaise was born. How can a lawmaker be lawless at the same time? Well, I don't know. So, the stringing together of these two words sounds nonsensical, but when you scrutinize it, you begin to find the meaning in it. Well, let's look at in Yoruba adage. Ataro electricity. You are talking of money. You are talking of daybreak. But what we are saying is that once it is daybreak, the end of that day has also started. That is the meaning. Yeah. You start dying the day you were born. You start dying the day you were born. If you are destined to spend 100 years, the day you spend, once you spend day one, you are already moving closer to your grave. Paradox is also related to oxymoron. They are contradictory statements, and they are mostly steeped in existential philosophy of life. They are philosophical in nature. Let's look at the Jordan. One short step past, we wait eternally, and there shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. How do you, one step, one sleep past, we wait eternally. The idea of sleeping contradicts with the idea of waking eternally. When we wake eternally, that means we are no longer going to experience death. And the only person that is free from experiencing death is a dead person. Except when I don't know the Christians that believe that there is a second death. In African traditional religion, we don't talk about second death. We talk about reincarnation. You can then what you then reincarnate to be will be dependent on how you spent your previous life.
That is transmutation of souls.
When that's in your so the idea of sleep fast and wake eternally are contradictory. Let's go on. Another slide. Euphemism. This the way blunts the edges of complex information, making unpleasant things appear or sound or look pleasant. The king has gone to join his ancestors, or the king has hit the pocket, or he came first from the rear. He came first from the rear. Well, and so another slide. Assonance, alliteration, repetition are literary devices employed to achieve auditory appeal in especially in poetry. Let's take this example. Very bad blood between the ruling king and the rabble chieftain. Alas, very bad blood between the ruling king and the rabble chieftain. Covenants broken. Liabilities are not so large. Then sponsor crisis hard to continue. That's when you just try a random loose. What is alliterative here? Bad blood between. Ruling king and rabble chieftain. Ruling and rabble. Then the lines are repeated. Also, very bad blood between, very bad blood between, and the ruling king and the rabble chieftain. So if you take all these things together, they appeal to the air. They add special effect to the poetic piece. Another line. Assonance is the semblance of sound, especially vowels between succeeding words. Called, kiss, kill, kneel, lies. Let's look at falling phone. Falling phone is alliterative. F. Fly high. Assonance. I. And they concern repetition of succeeding sounds in succeeding words. Then, as mentioned earlier, there are many others which are too numerous to mention. But let's go to other literary terms. Like I mentioned earlier, literature is divided into three sub-divisions. The prose is generally regarded as long narrative prose or fiction, and it is rendered in sequence of sentences without breaks. You know, in poetry is written in stanzas, or it doesn't follow the dialogic conventions of drama. Dialogic taking like you have in drama, that's clearly demarcated between a continuous prose flow. And length is also important when you are considering prose works. Let's look at another slide. Let's look at some variations of the prose fictional works. We have the novel. This is a fully developed fictional work. And in terms of characterization, plot development, everything, they are fully developed. They are all fully developed. You pick a character in a novel. All the potentials of that character will be unfolded during the course of that fictional work. You might start as a child, innocent, end up being a rogue. Or you might start as a child as a rogue, end up being reformed and becoming something useful. All the potentials are so this is the, and then we have examples of dark as adventures, fantasy, romance, scientific institutions, and others. And we have cited some examples of novels here. Far from the Winding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, Lonely Londoners, Lord of the Flies, Things Fall Apart, Man Died, and others. These are examples for those of us that are conversant with some of these novels. They are examples of what we refer to as the novel. Another slide. Slide. The novella or novelette. This is different from the novel in terms of the length. The novella is shorter than the novel. The characters are not as developed as in the novel. So also is the plot. The plot is also not well developed. For example, maybe a novella wants to talk about the adult life of an individual and all his experiences within that period only will be captured by the novella. That's why we say it shows a slice of experience or a slice of life. Just like we have in short stories are shorter than even the novella. And that is why you have a set of short stories put together as a collection. You might have like 10 short stories in a collection. You can't have 2 novellas in a collection. No. A novella can stand alone, just like a novel. Short stories don't normally stand alone. They are brought together in a collection. They exist in collections. And they explore various short issues and themes of concern. So that is the thin line between the short story and the novella. The next. And even the man died. It's about experiences of Sulika when he was in prison. Then autobiographies are marked by fidelity to details. In autobiographies or biographical writings, you stick to details. Because they are not fiction, they are not fictional. Then between fiction and biographies is what we call factional writings. Factional writing, that is an admixture of fiction and fact. For example, if you read Polish Linguistic's The Man Died, it's a kind of faction. Most war shows are also factional because we have embellishments while detailing what happened during the war. Then we have travelogues also, that is details of experiences of a writer during the course of his travels. For example, and so on. Then we have narrative techniques in prose writings. We have what we call the epistolary method, which is like writing like a letter. We have an omniscient or eye of God narrative style. An omniscient narrator is everywhere. Is there with you in the privacy of your room? Is there with you in your office? Is there with you in your conversation with your intimate friend? He even has access to your mental activities. What is going on in your mind? The omniscient or eye of God writer knows. That's why he is referred to as eye of God. He's all-knowing. Then we have what we call flashbacks as narrative techniques. Some of us that have read Papers of Plot used even that was translated from Swahili. Wisdom of the Pro. He will be lot and lot of flashbacks to tell his story also. Then we have what we call medias res. This is deliberate breaking of the sequence of the story. It starts from the beginning. It doesn't start from the beginning. It starts from the middle. And details of the past are then provided. That's what we call medias res. Then we also have what we call stream of consciousness writings. It's a mental recording of what goes on in the mind of the writer. And such writing conventions lack chronology. That is one of the reasons what made Shoyika's demand right very difficult to understand. Because he uses the stream of consciousness style. If you are not careful, Shoyika in it, we will be talking about what 20 years ago, come back to the present, projects to the future, goes back, and all that. That is stream of consciousness. So, as a critic, you have to see that and piece together. You have to reconstruct it consciously, the other, and piece together the event for you to be able to make meaning. That is why most people run away from that novel. It's difficult. And a lot of other such styles. Now, so much about prose. Let's go to poetry. It's traditionally defined as product of intense feeling or a captured during sober moments. At times, poetry can be product of spontaneous feeling. It's about the most difficult art to produce. A single word might be the source of stanzas upon stanzas of poetry. And its purview is the exploration, rich exploitation of figures of speech to put across meanings and messages. And some of poetic types have been listed there. We have the sonnet, we have the ballad, we have the dirge, the epic, and so on. I don't Another slide. Let's look at the sonnet. The sonnet is traditionally defined as a 14-line poem broken into two unequal parts. The first part is referred to as the octave, while the last part is referred to as the sestet. The first part asks on some questions or creates a problem to which answers are provided at the sestet. But there are two basic types of sonnet. The sonnet originated as a poetic form in Italy by a literary technique as Petrarch. That is why we have what we call the Petrarchan sonnet. It's the first type of sonnet ever to be produced by anybody. And later, somebody travels to Italy, Spencer, and introduced the sonnet into the English society, and that gave back to another form of sonnet, which is regarded as the English sonnet. The only difference between the two types is that while the Petrarchan sonnet is divided into two unequal parts, the Shakespearean or Shakespearean sonnet is divided into three quatrains and one couplet. And the rhyme scheme, it has the following structure. The Petrarchan sonnet has A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, C, D, E, C, D, E structure. That's the rhyme scheme. What do we mean by the rhyme scheme? The end rhymes. Sounds, who are sounding having the same sound, occurring at the end of the line. Sound the same way are what we refer to as rhyme scheme. So that is in the Shakespearean, in the Petrarchan sonnet, we have A, B, rhyme scheme. While in the Elizabethan sonnet, we have A, B as first quatrain, C, D as second quatrain, E, F, and so that is about the English sonnet. Those are the two basic types of sonnets that we have on that side. Then the ballad is a long narrative poetry. It normally tells a story. Normally, the ballad doesn't have an author, traditional ballad. It doesn't have an author. Unlike written ballads. The ballad is handed down the generations by words of God, orally, until the evolution of the written ballad, which celebrates a hero or an event or an historical figure. For those of us that have read the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, that was what I read for my wife. It's an example of the ballad. Another slide. Epic has a great affinity with the ballad. It also tells a long story. But the experiences and vicissitudes of the central figure in an epic is different from what we have in the ballad. That is the difference. The example here is go to the Nightingale. That is also another very popular word that is used to demonstrate the epic form. That's right. drama. Drama simply put is story told through live action. It's unlike poetry, it's unlike. And that live action has to take place on the stage. And dialogue is the central thing in the drama. Dialogue keep on taking between the characters. Then Da Silva defines drama, the dramatic nature as involving a scholarship of literary criticism that has emphasis in drama. I identify two broad types of literary criticism, that is prescriptive criticism and descriptive. When a drama criticism is prescriptive, you use your knowledge of literary theories to judge a work of art. You apply them to a dramatic work. But descriptive, you judge a dramatic piece by itself. You don't use extraneous ideas to judge a dramatic work. We'll talk more about such issues when we talk about the constructionalism and all that later. Then, talking about how did the drama as a form originate? Drama is believed to have its origin in rituals, and it originated from the Greek society. And the first actor is Thespis, who was declared the first actor in 535 BC. It was closely followed by Aeschylus, the firebringer. Then we have the Sophocles. These are great dramatists. And during the course of design and teaching of literature, there is no way the students will not be exposed to each of these great dramatists in history with representative texts. Types of drama, this includes tragedy, comedy, farce, burlesque, and others. Which time will not allow us to start defining now. Another slide. Yes. Oral literature. This is, as the name implies, work of art delivered through or performed through the word of mouth or performed physically. And oral artists engages in poetic performances, dramatic performances, renditions, chanting, narration, and all that. And this includes the performance, communication, orality, the mood, and artist, the personality. So these are some of the issues you talk about when you are talking about oral art. Let me take my time to explain each of these. A piece of oral performance must have a piece of information it wants to pass across. Maybe to teach moral, to teach a lesson, to draw attention to certain things, and others. And when you are talking about communication in oral arts is two-directional. It's bi-directional. Communication at the lower level, man between man. Communication between the performer and a higher authority, especially in invocatory poetry, incantations, chants, and all that. That is no longer communication at our level. It is a communication at another level, at a higher level. Then, talking about orality, the mode is not written. Then, the personality of the artist also matters. This is where issues of training and competence of the performer comes in. A piece of art, the same piece of art or performance might be available to two different performers. One might succeed than the other. And this is determined by the personality of the person, voice modulation, and even the length of the training and experience of the two individuals. That is why an Igala chanter will be different from another Igala chanter. That is why a masquerade dancer will be different, will be better than the other person, depending on. Then you have the audience. The audience plays both two roles. The audience can be critical. And if a chanter will be chanting, that is critical evaluation of what is going on the stage. So the audience is adequate to give appropriate applause or prompts of disapproval. And that will constantly check the performance of the artist on the stage. That is the nature of oral performances. It's participatory all through. Let us share an experience. When I was doing my PhD research, I was involved in some ritual performances. As a non-initiate, but at the level we have to get the confidence of these people and we became part of them. And we participated at that level. Then there's another level that is exposed to the entire community. Where when you want to kill, you are killing, which you step on the blood, this. You are communicating. And there are audiences also which are not seen. But they have the details and the performance have to be done the way it should be done. Otherwise, the results will not be achieved. And who determines what they are the other audience, the unseen audience. And all that. Let me end there. That was there. Well, memory also refers to the personality of the performer. He must be able to recall. He must be able to recall without writing. And other them, spontaneity and next, another slide. Yeah, orality can be primary or secondary. We have primary orality. If somebody comes here now and starts chanting Ijala, that is primary orality. But once it is recorded and we are listening, it can become contrived or secondary orality. Or an Ijala verse or Ifa verse written down and we are studying. It's no longer the primary orality. It has become secondary orality because of the intervention of the technology of the book or technology of electronic. And the details you will get in actual oral performance will be different from the details you will get in written or contrived orality. Well, there are other issues theories, post-colonial literature, pre-colonial literature, neo-colonialism, American literature, constructionism, deconstructionism, and all that, which time and place will not allow us to explore here. I think I want to take my rest. Which is calculated in the elements. And if you don't want to mention them by their names, especially in Quran literary pieces, the mothers, they are euphemised as the great mothers. So euphemisms are used to mask or to blunt the edges of calling somebody directly. Sorry, let me share this experience. Still during the course of my research, there was this 90-year-old man right in the center of the paramarket. I was doing this interview. The first thing I asked, Mama, that's a lady mother, many years. Mo fẹ́ wọ mẹ́, ó ṣara wọn lọ. Ẹ ṣe ẹ̀rọ aláàbò ẹ̀wọ̀ ìgbàlẹ̀. And then continued. Mama, wọ́n ní àjọṣe owó wá láàrin àwọn àti àwọn. Ọmọ mi ó bá àgbọ̀dá mi. Àjọṣepọ̀ tó kúrú wà. I was going to commit what I learned in Arabic. Thank God I had a research assistant that was alive. I was going to ask Mama check in shape. Well, I wanted to ask Mama five years, you know. Very serious trouble. It was during the course of that interview that I got to know how I inaugural the imams. Any other question?
We need to hear the story.
She told me that when they finished, you know, the people, there's no point that can not satirize class. Then the last father went to the party, then collected rice in to take home. He then became the subject of mockery. So the second day, what a lot of mockery. The second day, I was arrested. The man said, I was just resting in my house after all night of work. Tó lọ bá dé àyè láti wá àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ o, ó ló kó wọ́n ṣe ó sọ ó kó wọn fún bàbá wọn. Lórí station pé àyìnlá bóyá máa wọ̀ mí jáde àyìnlá bóyá lọ́wọ́ àti ìdìbò abẹ́ ẹ̀ the matter was settled. Pé ọmọ àgbogbo àwọn ọ̀dà òkú ọjọ́ oṣù ẹ̀dá náà fọ́ mi. Ó ní kí ló ṣe? Ó sì Nàìjíríà má kó wọlé lórí o. Báyìí wù wọ́n bá ṣe.
One lórí.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for I just want to ask for a clarification between the stream of consciousness style of writing and if it's different from convoluted style. The way you mentioned writing front, going back, and when you were
The convoluted style is just context, not that catchy impressions. And convoluted style also tries to employ several writing comprehensions at the same time. But the stream of consciousness is a deliberate scrambling of the plot of the story. Right, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
What you should tell your students is a description of what syntax is. What is description? Syntax is seen as a set of rules, a set of conventions that governs word ordering. How do you order words? As spoken. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. By native speakers of English language. There's a way it is ordered. That is what you said in word ordering. It matters. And another thing that matters is the functionality. Because words should not just occur. They must occur to perform specific functions. What function do they perform? A noun occurring after a verb whose subject action is transferred onto, is referred to as what? As object. A particular word order. Why is it not the subject? It is not. Because it is not the subject. It is the subject that is the topic of that sentence. It is what we're talking about. What order? See that? I don't know.
Yeah, my question. I don't know if Prof has added that. Now, my question is this. Earlier, when you were defining verb, I wanted to ask if there's a way a student's understanding of the concept of verb can be further assisted by citing some examples. If I say the heart is round, the head is round, and I take the word is as a verb. If I also say I eat every day, and I take the word eat as a verb, how will your definition of verb as state of being help me to distinguish between the two examples?
The first thing, the that is part of the form of the verb is. It states what? The state of being. This is what it is. If you now say I eat, that is yes, and eat it. It is what you do every time. Then you say it's the same person.
Is it also a state of being?
It's not. It's not.
So, can we now conceptually remodify the definition of verbs for the sake of learners and researchers? So that students don't erroneously consistently take verb as meaning only the state of being.
Yeah, I think I said that before. I've said it. And that was before I mentioned the lexical aspect. It was then.
Can we redefine verb for the sake of clarification?
Okay.
Conceptually now.
Well, verb should be defined as those words that express the state of being of the subject and the action performed by the subject.
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Yes, part of the spirit.
A verb does three things. It does not only express state of being an action, it also indicates possession. Are they as people? Just have
Yeah, excuse me. Those, it's only because you didn't those lines. There are other activities performed beyond that. We stated almost 7 is there. It's only you think it.
Let me just, when you are confronting students, they are coming to the university, and I want to talk about the noun as definition. Right from nursery school, the students have known that the noun is the name of a person, noun is this and what should be a novel way of defining the noun. At least so that somebody in your class, an undergraduate now, will be able to go home and put it, yes. Now it's just not defined as. Well, let me to help us. What I normally do is to consider the noun as the grammatical tool for naming.
Thank you very much, sir. That is noted. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thanks. All right. We have come to the end of the session.
Why is everybody?
I've come to the end of this session.